Welcome to Welly's World. I hope you're having a great day. Have you ever picked up your guitar and suddenly something just doesn't seem right? Maybe you're looking at mine and thinking, yeah, something's not right. It doesn't have any strings on it. Well, the reason it doesn't have any strings on it is because we had the headpiece break off. So this has happened to friends of mine where it's has to do with the humidity or how the guitar is built, but the headstock will break off. And so you see here, I have the guitar, I have both parts, and what happened here was something happened. Either it was trauma to the guitar or it was just old. And sometimes that happens. We get a break like this and it just breaks right off. I'm gonna bring this right up to the camera so you can see what's going on here. So this is really frustrating when something like this happens, but it's not the end of your guitar. There's something you can do, and I want to show you how to do that today. So you're going to need a couple things, and these things are, the first thing you're going to need is both pieces. You can't put it back together without the pieces, obviously. You're going to want wood glue. So this is Type Bond. This is specifically indoor wood glue, so that's furniture and things like that. You can also get this same type of glue for outdoor, but you're using a guitar, you want to keep the guitar in a low humidity environment anyway, so that's the kind of glue you want to look for. You're going to want clamps. So I've got these spring clamps that I'm going to use, and that's to once the headstock is glued together, again with this, I'm going to clamp this, and then we want to do that for 24 hours at least. Afterwards, this is going to sound weird, you're going to want to drill, and then you're going to want a nut and bolt. So let's talk about this here. This luckily has a pretty clean break. If we take a look there, you can see I can actually put this back together, and from a distance, you can't even tell that that's broken. But of course it just pops right off. So what we're gonna need is we're gonna need to glue that. So I'm gonna start with the headstock here. Ideally what I would have is I'd have something laid out to catch a lot of the glue here. This is gonna get a little messy. And we're gonna apply this a lot. We're gonna put a whole bunch of it all over the wood, because this is what we want to bond, and we really need it to get into all of the little crevices in the wood here, which is very porous. So in the video here, I'm actually trying to clean up at the same time while I'm ready to get this set. So what happens is, as this glue is seeping into the pores of the wood and I clean up my mess, I'm going to take the opposing side, and we're just going to get this lined up. It's like I said, this is a pretty clean break, so it's not hard to find that lining up position. Now there's a lot of glue in there, so some of it bleeds out, and that's fine. That's why we have the shop towels with us, so we can clean up after ourselves. Now I'm going to push down here, and you're going to see it slips, which is okay. It slips because we have that liquid in between. I'm going to push it right back into place before I get ready to clamp it. And in clamping it, that's where we're going to leave it and let it sit so that it can dry and set properly. Okay, so now that I've got this going here, you can see I've got clamps on either side. You can see the glue running down the back like that. That's okay, because we can just wipe that right off. Okay. Now eventually you will have to take a light grade sandpaper to this, because you're not going to get all of it, and you really want the glue to be in there doing the work. That's the most important part. But see, the clamps are going to keep it there while the glue dries. We want it to dry really well. Like I said earlier, I'm going to leave this for at least 24 hours, probably closer to 48. And I'm just going to store it in a cool place. It's too big now to fit in the case with the clamps on it. You can also use shop clamps on this. That's no big issue. I just use these because they were available and because this is what I have room for. So once this is done, there's a couple more steps we're going to do just to make sure that this guitar stays fixed. Because right now, when the glue sets, I could string it up, it would last for a while, but most likely what would happen is the guitar would break again, but the thing is the glue will actually hold tighter than the wood will. At this point, once this glue has dried, this part will be stronger than the actual wood part. So the wood will break again before the glue does. But that means that we've already had this break once. It's very likely that it will happen again. So we're going to do some extra steps that won't affect the guitar's tone at all. So this is set for 48 hours. What I'm going to do now is going to be a little painful to some of you. I'm about to drill into this seat. Okay, I've already made marks, and I'm drilling in, so I want to be exactly perpendicular with the guitar head. And we're going in, nice clean hole like that, and then right back out. So that now that we've got our lead hole drilled, what we're going to do is we're going to make this really secure. So I've got a 5 millimeter bolt here and my power drill, and I'm just going to let this guy ease on into this hole that we drilled here. So you're going to get plenty of resistance, but you don't want to push down onto it. You just want to watch it and make sure it's sinking in, because those the screw is going to do the work for you. You just have to put a little bit of pressure on it. Now, don't crank it down. You just want to wait till it gets a little bit snug. And then what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over, and we're going to add our bolt to the back. Now, because I was sure that this hole was exact with my bolt, I didn't need to use a washer, but you might want to use a washer in your case. Here it is. And I'm just going to hand tighten it. You can crank it, you can tighten it more with a tool, but really you don't want this to be super tight. All right, so here's really the final thing we have to do before we string up the guitar. There's this piece that actually slides right in here. You see this little divot. This is called the saddle, and this guitar actually had a broken saddle along with its neck, the poor thing. So that just slides right in there. Now you could glue that in. There's no real point. It'll slide around. You just got to make sure that when you change the strings, you know that it slides around. We don't need to do anything else to that. It's time to get this bad boy strung up. And there it is. This guitar went from completely unusable. You remember, this guy, you can't even see the seam anymore. You can't even see it. If you look at the front though, look at it. There's our seam. We've got our screw in there. That's our insurance to make sure that this never happens again. We want this guitar to last. Because even though this might not be a world-class instrument, instruments are precious to people, and you want to be able to use them for a lifetime. So there it is at the back. Notice that's not in anybody's way. That's not in anybody's way. You can see that. My thumb's not coming up on that. Not even a little bit. Okay? This went from unusable. It was trash. You could throw this in the garbage because no one could use it. Totally gone. To now, it's beautiful. This is a beautiful sounding instrument. Listen to that. I would be heartbroken if someone lost this instrument. It just sounds beautiful. And now that person's going to get to enjoy it again. So the great thing about this repair is, you kind of got to know what you're doing. Hopefully I helped with that, though. Hopefully you'll be able to recreate something like this if, God forbid, this ever happens to one of your instruments. Here's what's great. We used wood glue. We used a drill. We used a nut and a bolt. And we used clamps. That was it. That's all we needed. This entire repair cost me less than $10. If you include the strings, closer to $20. But I mean, you take an instrument that I mean is legitimately priceless to someone, and you spend $10 on it, and you take it from being garbage and to making it a beautiful sounding instrument again. I mean, that's worth it. It has a beautiful, rich tone. I would be crushed if that person lost this instrument, because it just really does. It sounds beautiful. So what we did again is we glued this together. Once that was glued, we let it sit for 48 hours. I let that sit for 48 hours before I drilled into it. Drilled a hole into it. I did this was a 5/32 bolt. So I got a drill bit that matched it, drilled through. Then I screwed through that. So it still needed to be screwed in, even though, if you notice, it has no bit to just drill in. So you couldn't use an actual wood screw. You wouldn't want to do that. That's not what we want to do. You want to actually use a bolt like a cabinetry screw or something. I believe that's what this is a cabinet screw, or close to it. And then we just tightened the bolt in the back. Remember, that's our insurance, because frankly, that wood glue will hold longer than the wood does. But we want to make sure that wood doesn't get weak. That's why we've got this nice bolt. And that bolt's not going to get in anybody's way. Now it's part of the lore. You're going to get to talk about how this is part of your instrument. It makes this instrument special. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it taught you something. If you liked this content, you want to learn anything more about repairing guitars, I'd love to show you what I do know. It's definitely not much. I'm not some master luthier. I'm just a guy who's had to repair his own guitars for a long time. So leave your questions in the comment. If you like this, give me a like. And if you want to see more of me, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great day.